This is a conversation about you having power, influence, and wealth. So you're at the right place. This is the time. And the vehicle we're talking about today is we're talking about venture capital as a critical and powerful lever, not just for you to have power, wealth, and influence, but for all of us to see the world, the companies, the jobs, the cultures that we want to see in the future. That sound good? Historically, women have not participated actively, and we're really underrepresented in anything that has to do with venture capital. So when I look at the data, only 5% of us who can invest in venture capital are actually investing in venture capital. We don't feel invited often. Maybe you don't know enough about it. It feels like it's for the bros. Barbara and I are venture capitalists. We look like you. We're here to tell you you're invited. This is the moment where women have 52% of the wealth in this country. This is unprecedented. We have a lot of wealth collectively. You may think I don't have a lot of money myself, but if we collectively pull it all together, we can change the entire culture of this country. We can change who's running companies. You don't have to ever again have a company that has to do a band-aid like equal pay adjustments because it'll be Barbara and I are going to pay people equally, women equally for sure. So this is an interesting moment. And when you think about, so venture capital is the money that's invested in high growth companies that are going to be the Google and the eBays of tomorrow. And only 2% of all money invested by venture capital is going to companies founded by women. And this is a huge problem in the market. And it's also really dumb because women return more for their investors than anybody else. So it doesn't make any sense. It's financially irresponsible that we are underinvesting in companies founded by women. And actually, the data shows that Black women return more for their investors than anyone else. Probably no surprise because Black women and women have to work 10 times harder. They can't make mistakes, in our culture. And so the result of that is huge performance value. In fact, the data says women return 35% more for their investors. And we're more capital efficient. We use money better. We don't waste money. And we are more performance driven. We are driving to the outcomes. Probably because we have to. The day that women and men have equal financial results and performance might be the day we've made it. But today we way outperform. So for those of you who don't know me or are just arriving, I'm Julie Castro Abrams. I'm an activist for women's power and influence. I'm the founder of How Women Lead. We do all kinds of things to get women on corporate boards and women really finding the way to break through any of those glass ceilings they're experiencing. And together, we started a venture firm called How Women Invest. We're on our third fund now at How Women Invest of investing directly in companies founded by women. We also, through our How Women Lead, How Women Invest ecosystem and partnership, we realized not everybody can invest in my fund. We can't have that many investors, but I have 22,000 women in this network. You hopefully are either in the network or you'll join How Women Lead today. So we all said, you know what? We need to drive our capital to women-run venture firms in the country because they're killing it. They're doing a great job. So you are going to meet Barbara Iyayi today, who's going to talk about her strategy. She's the star of the show. What we want you to know is this is the kind of person you would be partnering with, trusting to drive great returns for you, for your capital that you would be investing. Our goal, Barbara and me and 1,400 other women that are part of a campaign called the New Table Campaign, our goal is that 10,000 women join. So we got 1,400. We need a couple more of you to join today. This New Table Campaign has a goal to get 10,000 of us to invest in venture capital and drive $1 billion to women-run venture firms. That's transformative. That's going to change who's running companies tomorrow. So that's the invitation today. And Barbara is going to show us how it's done. Would you kick us off, Barbara, and Barbara's CEO and founding partner of Unicorn Growth Capital. This is an early stage fintech, financial technology, and Web3 venture capital firm. So she's investing in the future of finance and really looking at it with a broader lens of inclusive communities. I am so proud to call Barbara a friend and to be able to, support her, introduce you to her, and encourage you to check out Unicorn Growth Capital because this is the future. And this is how we're all going to make sure we have the knowledge and the tools to make a lot of money into the future. So, with that, I'm going to hand it over to you, Barbara. Would you talk about the credo that we've agreed to at our in How Women Lead first?
Yeah, there are four things about this credo. One is be fierce advocates to each other as part of our network. Two is say yes to helping and connecting each other. If other women ask for an introduction, make your first reaction yes. Men are better at this than women, and we need to do more in terms of helping each other. Three is we ask you to reinforce your voice. When she speaks up and isn't heard, be her megaphone and ensure she gets credit. We need to just praise each other and we need to lift each other up. And four is maybe most important, you get out there and be unabashedly visible. Build your LinkedIn, build your thought leadership, network as part of your workday. The old ways of women being invisible are over. There is nothing indelicate about standing in your power and owning your voice.
So I hope when you hear Barbara share that credo, you sort of get a sense like, oh my God, that's utopia. That's the
I
world
know.
we all want to live in. It is intentionally counter the culture. This is your invitation to like say, somebody else designed this culture for us. And there's bad stuff for women. Let's actually be intentional about how we are together. And I would say fiercely advocate for the Barbaras of the world. Make sure you say yes to introducing her, telling 10 friends that aren't here on this call today, telling them that you met her and that they should check out the Unicorn Growth Capital story and really lean into understanding and connecting with women venture capitalists. These are the women who are really shaping tomorrow, who gets investments and the values that they bring to the table. So Barbara, today our conversation is about hopefully inspiring everyone on this, on this LinkedIn Live, but also anyone that you have in your networks who you're connecting with to look into investing in venture. How did you begin your journey, Barbara? Like what was as a little girl, did somebody say you'd be a great investor or when did it happen?
No, it's a great question. And by the way, just I love this conversation about women supporting each other because I find that my journey has just been a lot of it has been inspired by other women doing amazing things. And like you don't really know you can do something unless you can see it. I started my career in investment banking. I was an engineer and studied computer science in undergrad. But I started in finance. I've always wanted to be in finance and be very close to capital. And then I went into private equity and I was part of setting up a financial services private equity platform, which ended up becoming a 3 billion plus asset platform. And I was one of the
So
first.
you've done it. You've done what you're
I've
investing in.
done it.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
one of the first few, employees that built the platform and invested in financial institutions. And then I got excited about fintech through that experience and, was really empowered by a lot of female VCs that were in the fintech space, saw the power of fintech disrupting the financial services industry in a good way, right? Solving problems that legacy banks and companies were just not solving. And
Yeah.
so that's why I went into investing in fintech companies. And also I operated an AI-powered digital identity company, wanting
Wait,
to
when was that?
that was
Everyone,
right before
yeah,
COVID,
yeah.
like in
Everyone thinks
2018.
AI just started last year,
Oh
but it's
yeah,
like, no, we've been doing this for a while. Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I learned a lot during that experience. We built a team on ground and we built use cases using AI around digital identity. The co-founder is one of the pioneers of AI who won a Turing Award. So I learned a lot about advanced neural networks and I bring that to a lot of the investments that I make. But it was after COVID that I sort of sat down and I thought, I'm a finance person. I love investing. So I need to set up the fund that I've always thought I wanted to do, which was in the fintech space. And my first investment was a blockchain payments company. And so I saw the power of using blockchain in the financial technology area. And so my fund, essentially, Unicorn Growth Capital's venture fund, is really just doubling down on my thesis
Yeah.
around financial infrastructure and how it can empower businesses and consumers in underserved markets globally. And that's why I've sort of built my thesis around it.
Well, there's so much of a crisis, in cybersecurity, so much going on. Blockchain in concept is protective of that, right? So a lot of what you're doing is making sure that the back office, the infrastructure is safer for all of us, which everybody needs. When you think about the trends of where the future of fintech is going, what would you say are the big things we
Yeah.
need to watch for?
I think the financial infrastructure is fundamentally broken all over the world, and it has not been solved. And it's going to take a decade to really solve this. And so that's why it's an amazing place for venture. There are three areas that we focus on as part of what we consider the future of finance. One is what we call open finance, and that's basically making these transaction rails much more fast and efficient and interoperable across the world. We
Mm,
love cross-border fintech solutions, cross-border blockchain solutions. The blockchain just makes things much more efficient, much more cost-effective. Things can settle real time. And so there's this huge opportunity to bring people and businesses all over the world into the global financial ecosystem.
mm,
The second is decentralized finance. I mean, just cutting the middleman and being able to just transact
yeah,
directly with people
yeah,
across every aspect of
yeah.
financial services, automating the entire
Yeah.
processes.
We all want to feel like we're not just having some big institution,
Exactly.
in the middle, right? Yeah.
But it just opens up a huge
Yeah.
business model opportunities. You can go direct to all these asset classes that you have no idea exist. You can open up investment opportunities to the world where a lot of places have very little investment
Mhm.
opportunities, and they don't have access to yield, they don't have access to dollars, they don't have access to credit. So decentralized finance can really move mountains in some of these economies.
Well,
And
and
then
you're Nigerian, right? Like, in Nigeria, it's the largest country, population, the
in
youngest
Africa.
probably in the
Mhm.
world, right? There's huge innovation happening in Nigeria. Is that part of what inspires you, or is that just part
Absolutely.
of the mix? It is, yeah.
For me, it's like being in venture, if you're going to invest in venture, you should be invested in places that not many people know about
Yeah.
because that's your IP. If you invested in China, India a decade ago, you're a rich person. So I'm going to go to the markets where no one really understands so that
Yeah.
I can be a rich person
Yeah.
and make money. And so that's basically it. And these markets, technology is really powering the economy. It's
Mhm.
not like fun and games. Like
Yeah.
this is putting money in people's hands, in
Yeah.
businesses' hands, driving all sectors, healthcare, education, agriculture. And for us, that's the impact that I'm trying to make in my life as well as make money at the same.
Transformative for economies. Would you say, is this what differentiates your fund, or how would you define the differentiation of your fund?
Yeah, I think the number one is the fact that we have that Pan-African exposure. Like I've invested across the continent. I've invested in Southeast Asia and in the US. So I have that global mindset that just makes me different. I
Yeah,
get unique deal flow because of it and all of that. And two is I look at fintech as the future is in the blockchain, is in AI. I'm not just investing in legacy fintech rails. I want the next generation of financial infrastructure. And I
yeah,
think that's what makes me different from a typical
okay,
fintech VC
yeah,
fund and also from a typical blockchain fund because I'm
yeah,
also focused on real world use cases. I'm not just
yeah,
trying to make,
yeah,
lots of wonderful altcoins and digital currencies, but how does this affect people's lives? How does this create impact? How does this scale and become
mhm,
huge companies in all these underserved areas? And then the third I would say is just our value add that we bring to our
mhm,
founders. We have been operators, and been in finance. I think that mixture of investment and operating
yeah,
expertise is really valuable for our founders. And also the fact that, you asked me what differentiates me, and my advisor always tells me, your edge is you.
oh
And
my gosh, your background's amazing.
but it's also just like being the only, I would say I'm like the only Black woman fund manager of a blockchain VC fund focused
Wow,
on emerging markets,
yeah,
which is really
yeah.
disturbing to me.
It's
Uh,
disturbing that gives you a huge edge.
it
It's
is.
both,
I
right.
stick out like a sore thumb, and I go to places where I don't see other
Mm,
Black women, many women in general. So it does differentiate me, and I think that is a natural advantage in that I get different deal flow and unique perspectives, and I bring a unique perspective to the blockchain industry. Period.
yeah, awesome. Do you have you talked about some founders a minute ago. Do you have a favorite founder? Do you have somebody who you're like, "This is my girl. This is the one who
You
did,"
know, I love I think every founder I learn from. I when I make investments, I always say I learn, and I always tell founders to never sort of be worry of VCs, because I think actually VCs learn more from founders than founders do from VCs.
Yeah.
We see a lot more than the founders, so we bring a lot of our market expertise, the competitive environment. But founders fundamentally, because they're stuck in a certain industry, they're experts. So a lot of my female founders, I love them to death. And blockchain is such a space where it's so male dominated. I invested in a company called Bitmama. The founder, she is probably the only female founder that built a crypto exchange and a crypto powered financial platform in Nigeria. The only female founder that's done that. And so a lot of my female founders are up against a lot.
Yeah.
They're seeing their peers, male peers, raising a lot of money, and they're competing for talent, they're competing for clients. And so I try my best to do as much as I can for my female founders, because the industry is really, really hard. And I love that they are bold enough to step
Yes.
into their power and make it happen. And I'm there to support them.
You're seeding all these role models. So hopefully the flood of Black female founders from Nigeria will be coming soon if it's not there already. As a Black woman, as a CEO and a founding partner, how do you act? I mean, just by being you, like your mentor said it well, but is there anything else you're doing that you would say, like, this is a values-based investing tool that we've got? The new table is sort of like invest in people whose values align with yours. What are the kinds of inclusive and accessible things that you've got going that you feel like are unique to you and really stand out?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that the mantra of going after companies that are just making real impacts in underserved economies
Mhm.
is really important. So for us, we look at companies globally. We look at companies in the US and the UK, but we want infrastructure that can really scale in underserved markets. I think that's just very important. I think when you invest, if you're not solving if you're not bringing the masses, bringing the underserved economies into the main, you're not really taking advantage of what the world has to
Mhm.
offer.
No. Yeah.
So I think that inclusivity is just inherent in how we invest.
I mean, even currency exchange has been hugely problematic and I think still continues to be really problematic, certainly in a lot of places in Africa. It's like,
Yeah.
and some very small countries where it's you have to be interdependent with the countries that are next to you, but the currency exchange is such a problem.
Yeah.
Uh,
So like cross-border fintech has done really well. A lot of VCs are going into cross-border fintech right now. Companies that are building for LATAM, for underserved markets, immigrant populations in the
mm,
US. But a lot of these challenges are real because
yeah,
people want access to dollars. And a
yeah,
lot of countries, they don't have access to it. So
yeah,
just giving someone a dollar account, they're getting paid in dollars, they can move money around to different countries, they can make remittances. But that the infrastructure for that is broken, completely
yeah.
broken. And it's expensive and it takes days. And so there's so much opportunities to invest and use stable coins, use all these technologies to streamline. And suddenly you're bringing all these people into the economy. And these are big businesses about to blow up. And these are the things that make us, like, our inherent nature of our investment thesis is just fundamentally inclusive.
Yeah.
And that inclusiveness is what makes great companies.
And huge I mean, anyone who's looking at any forecast, that is the biggest financial growth area in the world is where you're focused. So, when did you start your firm, Barbara?
We did our first close in 2022. So,
Relatively.
yeah.
So what surprised you about venture? Like, is there anything that you've been like, "Wow, I didn't expect this?"
Yeah, it's a great question because, I always say that venture is so different from private equity that I was used to, I came from. And venture, the barriers to entry is so low.
Mm,
In private equity is a lot more like you've got to follow this path to get into private equity. In venture, it's really open for a lot of people with different experiences,
yeah.
different investors, different operators. Anyone can get into the space. I think what has been surprising to me is within the diversity of what I just said, it's still not diverse. It's still
Mhm.
very broken in terms of how capital is geared into a certain area. And it's really based on relationships and what people are used to and their own personal biases.
Mhm.
And so I've been surprised with how people make decisions in venture. There have been bad actors in the space, like in blockchain, for example, and that's caused the market cycles to go up and down because of a few bad actors.
Mhm.
I've been surprised with how there've been less checks and balances compared to like private equity, where, there's a board, you have a CFO, budgeting, all these things. In venture, it's been a little bit different. And I think what it does create opportunities around is for fund managers like myself who are actually focused on, making sure there's good corporate governance, there's
Yeah,
inclusivity and diversity, you're investing in a disciplined way, you're investing in markets that people don't understand, right?
yeah,
I think the challenges that I've seen in venture just propel me even more to
yeah,
stay in the game and to continue to make these changes, because we
yeah,
want venture, which is a very powerful asset class that is changing our lives. We
yeah.
want it to be going in a direction where everyone is accounted for versus 97% of money going into white men. Um,
Well, if anybody can figure out like a financial technology that democratizes it and figures it out, I know there's rules at the SEC, of course, you got to be a accredited investor to invest right now in a fund like Barbara's, but it's you. I would love to see something that could make it even easier for women to start investing in venture and direct investing that doesn't overburden the founder. What have you done to demystify this process for aspiring investors yourself? I'm just trying to make sure everybody feels invited and to,
yeah.
get rid of some of the lingo and make sure they meet the people like you because you're so freaking impressive,
Oh,
Barbara.
thank
My
you.
God. I mean, anybody who's listening to this is be like, yeah, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it starts with how your investment thesis first,
Yeah.
because I think venture is the asset class in itself. It's like, okay, what does that mean? But I try to just boil it down to the opportunity that we're investing in and how this is sort of important to people's lives, people's businesses. And so I have my newsletters out, every once or twice a year, and I sort of summarize the blockchain opportunity. I try to make it easy for people to understand why, blockchain is a back-end technology, but it's going to transform how we do financial services. And that is a huge investment opportunity. So I try to explain what the investment opportunity is for everyone to really understand where the world is going. All these markets, I try to explain why these underserved markets, emerging markets are really important places to invest in, because that's
Yeah.
the future. Investing in
Yeah.
early makes you money. I think it starts with just explaining and making it easy for people to understand. And then also just providing your fund as being the partner to some of
Yeah.
to these investors.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing. Like if I didn't understand venture, I would go through a fund manager, because that fund manager is day in, day out doing the work that
Yeah.
you're not doing because you
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. Yeah.
so fund manager, partner with the right fund manager who can give you access to the best companies, do all the diligence work for you, and expose you to the asset class is the best way to go into venture.
We got a lot of people that are here leaning in and listening and learning from you. What is it that inspires you in venture and what do you want them to know about it?
I get inspired honestly by all the challenges that our founders are solving, right? Like every
Mhm.
challenge around getting people access to capital, making people able to get access to the global financial ecosystem,
Yeah.
payments,
Yeah.
basic things that change our lives and help
Right.
businesses and
Yeah.
economies become better. That's what excites me, is that I'm a problem solver,
Yeah. Yeah.
engineer in heart.
Make
So
it
for me,
easier, better. Yeah.
I
Love it.
the asset class enables me to solve
Yeah.
problems. And I don't think there are many asset classes that are really around that. I think venture is one asset class where you're solving problems with this technology, and
Yeah.
these technologies can really change your
Yeah.
life. That's what inspires me.
It inspires me too, and I wanna take that one step further for everyone in the audience to think about. Up till today, most and because so little has been invested in women and people of color, most of the solutions are designed by and frankly for the problems that white men see. That's just what it is. It's okay. They've solved a lot of problems for a lot of us, all of us benefit. But think about the lost opportunity by not having the innovation fueled by women and people of color, people that talk like Barbara, that understand these market barriers that can be fixed, and so that everybody can participate and we can increase the size of the whole world's GDP by getting rid of these financial barriers. So just imagine the huge opportunity. There's a study done that said we were leaving $4.4 trillion of earnings you and I can make, and everybody listening on this call who wants to invest in venture. We're losing $4.4 trillion of potential increased earnings because we're underinvesting in companies founded by women. So there's huge money to be made, and there's huge solutions that make it better for all of us. For me, that's one of the things I want to leave you with today is you can play your role in all of this. One, by checking out Unicorn Growth Capital and the other funds on the New Table platform that we've got. And there should be a link for you to be able to click pretty easily for you to sign up. Say, I want to learn about venture. I want to dive in. I want to get to know, and then tell 10 friends. The whole point being, we've been left out of the leadership and decision-making table up until recently. Barbara and I are examples of sort of new entrants to venture capital. I just started in 2020. I ran a bank for a long time, type of a bank for a long time, working with low income women entrepreneurs. But this is a new day. And you do not want to miss out on the huge financial opportunity that Barbara so clearly has laid out with this, and she knows how to make it happen. Barbara, if you have a last piece of advice for the people in the audience, what would that be about that they need to know for this journey?
Make money. Let's make money, guys.
Let's make money, and I would say, and make the world better and grow the world while we do it. Connect us
Well,
all.
I trust that you will make the world better, because when money is put in women's hands, it's usually a safe place to be.
That's a mic drop moment. And I want to just call out, like, we're seeing Melinda Gates joining in with McKinsey Scott and women saying, I have this wealth. I'm going to treat people with respect. I'm going to invest in women. I'm going to have unrestricted investing, grant making, so that, we are not burdening them with that sort of patriarchal view of, like, you have to do it the way I tell you. There's so many things about women when we have money, how we do it differently. Women founders hire 6 times more women in their companies, and they pay them equitably. And in fact, they pay them greater wages on average. So, but whether it's the solution itself or how the companies run, it's better when it's in Barbara's hands. It's better when we all have a seat at the table. And I'll tell you, being involved in venture capital is a power play. It's super fun. Like, I know you just had a blast learning about all the innovations. And if you didn't know about blockchain before today, look it up, and now you know. But this is an opportunity for all of us to really be part of that innovation economy. And it's super freaking fun. So I want all of you to know you're invited to join the New Table with us. You can sit at the table with us. You can sit at the head of the table with Barbara and me. We want your involvement, and we want you to be part of the movement to tell everyone you know that investing in venture is the way we're going to solve for the future, so we can make it better for our daughters and the women coming up behind us. I know that fuels me a lot, because I see my kids are already in the corporate world. They hit some things where it's like, oh, gross. Why would the culture be like that? Unacceptable. We can change it. And with Barbara, you're brilliant. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank
It's
you,
been so fun
Julie.
to have this conversation with you. I knew you, but I know you better now.
Okay.
Now it's all kinds of fun stuff that we can play in the sandbox on. So thanks everyone for coming. Have a wonderful day. Tell all your friends and join the New Table.